All right, what's going on, everybody? So this is my review for the AVerMedia G7573 Live Gamer 4K HDR internal capture card. Long ass title. So this is going to be a pretty comprehensive review. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, and also I'm going to provide links to all that information in the description if you want to reference it. So just a little bit of background before I get into the details of this card. So I was in the market for a new capture card. I previously had the Elgato HD60S, and the natural upgrade from the HD60S, which could capture 1080p 60, was to jump to a 4K card. And the previously before this card released, which was recently the only other card, consumer level card on the market for recording games, was by the industry leading Elgato, and they released their 4K card. But I was a little bit hesitant to buy the Elgato 4K card because, one, the price tag, which is $400, and two, most console games aren't even reaching 4K 60. And on PC, there's plenty of free programs that capture 4K 60 gameplay at an amazing quality. So there's not really any need to have a 4K card to capture gameplay from the PC, but rather for future-proofing what may come on the console end of things. Quick disclaimer before I move on, the gameplay footage that you will see in this video are captured by the AVerMedia card, but this video is not rendered in 4K HDR. So the videos you will see are not representative of the quality that the card actually outputs. If you want to see that, I have uploaded several 4K HDR quality test videos on my channel on several different games. I will put the link to those in the description, or you could just check my channel videos, and I'll put them at the end of this video in annotations. So let's get into the review and talk about the technical and the specifications of this card. So I've been on YouTube way too long, about 10 years, so I've been through several capture cards. I started out with the Dazzle. Some of you had no idea what a Dazzle is. That's way before your time. That was the capture card that recorded in SD. Yes, SD. I've had the Hapog, the early Elgato, so all of that. So I've had experience with capture cards. But so the AVerMedia Live Gamer 4K card, some of its highlights: 4K 60 HDR. Now I mentioned the Elgato earlier, of course. The main thing that the AVerMedia card can do that the Elgato 4K cannot do, that they boast, is HDR. This card can capture HDR. And of course, if you're viewing HDR, you have to have the right device, like a Samsung or a Samsung 8, I believe, or above, or an iPhone X to actually view HDR. Or you can obviously watch the HDR video on a 4K TV on YouTube. So like I said, it can capture 4K 60 HDR. It can capture up to 240 FPS, which you would probably only need if you're recording PC gameplay, because no console game is really reaching that. It has ultra low latency, of course, with the preview screen. When you're recording, you can see what you're actually recording in real time, and also when you're live streaming. It has RGB lighting for all of you gold chain gamers who enjoy, the colors and the spectacles and the, the visual presentation of lighting up your rig. So that's always good. So getting a little bit more into the technical details. So this card is obviously internal, so it has to go into a PCIe 4 slot on your motherboard. My motherboard actually didn't have any 4 slots available, but it had 16, and anything less than 16, it can still go in that slot. The max, so the input, let's talk about the input and output. This is passed through HDMI 2.0. So the max pass-through resolution is 2160 at 60 frames HDR. 1440p at 144, and 1080p at 240. Now, for anybody who doesn't understand exactly what pass-through is, I'll simply explain it. Pretty much pass-through is the signal of the resolution and the frame rate that will be passed to an output on your monitor or TV. And the reason why they state that is because there's a difference between max pass-through and max capture, because some cards have the ability, their max capture they can do is at 1080p 60, but they will still output a 4K 60 resolution to your monitor or TV. So this card can do both. So moving on to the max capture, as you can see on the screen, the max capture resolution, it can record at 4K 60 HDR. Pretty much the max pass-through and the max capture is the same on this card, so it pretty much supports anything. It also supports all these weird and obscure resolutions that nobody should be viewing at and recording at in 2018, such as 480p, 576p, even 720p. You know, I consider that a little bit unacceptable in 2018. But you know, if you have, let's say, a Nintendo Switch, 480p might still be a viable resolution for you. Recording format is MP4, but I'm going to get a little bit more into the recording format and the profiles when I actually move on to the AVerMedia software. What's in the box? Obviously the Live Gamer 4K card, the HDMI 2.0 cable, the quick guide, and a product key to CyberLink Power Director 15. So I'm actually going to talk about editing software a little bit later, which is a very important detail that everybody needs to know, because if you want to edit these 4K HDR videos, not any editing software can do it. So I'm going to give you all the details on that a little bit later. So I'm just going to touch on installation really briefly because there's not really that much to say about it. It's extremely simple. All you have to do is go in your rig, put the card in a PCIe slot, and then download the AVerMedia software. It's not going to work unless you install the software first. These are just some pictures of the card in my rig, and please don't comment about my cable management. It normally does not look like this. I promise you, I fixed everything back afterwards. Alright, so now we're moving on to talk about the AVerMedia RE Central 4 recording software for the card. So it has a pretty simple interface. It's pretty straightforward, not too complex, easy to understand. So pretty much this is the main screen that it'll take you to. I got Detroit Become Human running in the background. So at the bottom left, you'll see here, this is this is pretty much your recording settings. You can hit this button, you can save and make different profiles by hitting the plus. You hit this, it'll pretty much tell you exactly the specifications of the profile that you have selected. Hit this if you want to edit the profile. You can name the profile here. Choose your codec. It's pretty much only between the NVIDIA codec and the H.264. You really don't have to make many changes to this. You can choose your resolution you want to record at, and I apologize if you hear any background noise. I'll try to get rid of it, but after I edit this video. But if you hear background noise, that's my PS4 trying to take off into outer space. I guess Detroit Become Human's main screen is too much for it to handle. But yeah, as I said, you can set the frame rate. The bit rate right here is so high because I have the resolution at 4K. The higher the resolution, the higher the bit rate needs to be to output that quality. Obviously, if I put this down to 1080p, then you don't need that high of a bit rate. If I hit usually that would just change by default if you select one of the profiles that are 1080p instead of 4K. Keyframe, you can keep that at 2. The bit rate, the audio bit rate is pretty much maxed out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for changing your recording settings. You can delete profiles. Right here, this is for streaming. So I have pretty much tested out streaming with this software. It works pretty well. It's pretty good. But if you use a third-party software such as OBS, I recommend you continue to do that because it's still OBS and programs like that has some features that this probably doesn't have. You can still do overlays with this. And pick your quality, your bit rate, and everything like that. But you'll probably still want to stick with OBS. Now this is for you can actually do multi-streaming. You can stream to different platforms from this software, which a lot of softwares actually don't allow you to do. Usually you have to go to I use Restream, right? I go to restream.com and I sign in. I select everywhere I want my stream to go, like it'd be YouTube and Twitch. So this actually allows you to do that pretty much. And you could just log into your account and do it straight from here. All right, so here you can this is the external. You can mute the external audio. This is just muting the audio in general. Now pretty much this button is to mute the preview sound. So if I unmute this, I'll actually hear her coming out of my sound bar. These are to actually mute the sound of the recording. So you don't want to do this. You don't want to mute these, or you're gonna mute the sound of the recording. You know, your output. You don't want to do that. This is the mixer, the audio mixer settings. You know, you don't really need to mess with this too much unless there's something specific you're trying to do. But obviously, it lays it out pretty well. This is the external audio. The playback settings. This is my sound bar that it'll go through and everything like that. So it's pretty straightforward. The interface is not too complex. One thing you want to make sure you do if you want to record at HDR is have the HDR button pushed. Because if you forget to do that, obviously there's not going to be any HDR. That's your record button. That's your snapshot button. The snapshot takes amazing screenshots, of course. It takes the screenshots in the resolution that you are currently at. As far as some other settings, if we hit this gear right here, so general, the general tab, you can select your language, where you want your files to be saved to. If you want to enable VSync, I don't have VSync enabled because I have a G-Sync monitor. Some button shortcuts to connect your social media accounts. Your profile management, multi-mode or single mode. Of course, multi-mode was streaming to different platforms, and it gives you capabilities to do a few different things. Like I said, I'm not going to get into everything. Further detail of everything you can do is in the description. I pretty much put the manual and all the specifications down in the user guide in the description if you want to read about that. Your software version, and it of course tells you the capture device you're using, because there's several different AVerMedia game capture devices that they've released recently. So y'all can check those out if you're interested in another AVerMedia card. Almost forgot to mention, when you're in the menu and the settings menu and you click on the card, it takes you to a few different other options, such as turning HDCP on or off, the lighting settings, such as when it's turned off, the device doesn't have any lighting, and also the mode of lighting that you want your card to show. There's a few different settings, and you could change the frequency from slow to the fastest setting, so you can switch up how your lighting works in your rig. And this is pretty much where any type of anything you record, or if you take a snapshot of anything, would go. Like, for example, let me try to go take a screenshot, if it would load up. It's taking a second. Okay, I'll take that screenshot, and it should appear here, and I can just select that and hit share, and I can share it to Twitter if I want. So this program is pretty straightforward. It's pretty cool. It works very well. I've had zero problems with this software. It runs very smooth. I've had pretty much no issues. Once in a while, I have encountered that a video I recorded might have gotten corrupted, but that's only happened once, and I've done a lot of recordings. So for the most part, this program runs extremely smoothly. All right, so just a few more things I want to touch on before I conclude my review, and those two things I want to touch on are live streaming and editing, which I mentioned earlier is very important. So first, with live streaming. Live streaming is extremely simple with the AVerMedia card. If you use a third-party program like I do, I use OBS Streamlabs. Just like anything else, you go to Add Source, Video Capture Device, Add Source. My AVerMedia is already selected, of course, and it's that simple. And the card works flawlessly. The quality is amazing. Let me get into the quality in just a second. But one thing I didn't have to do, that I had to do with some other cards, is sync up my, my voice, the gameplay sound and everything like that. Everything was already synced up. It was, no latency issues, no lag issues. I didn't have to add a delay or anything like that. Not only that, I have to say that even though live stream quality does depend on what you put your bit rate at and what resolution you stream at and everything like that, and there's all these factors, I have to say that this card live streams quality is amazing, because as I said, I was using the Elgato HD60 prior to this, and that live stream quality was really good. But this live stream quality is so good, it almost looks like I'm just doing a local recording and uploading the video, right? Because when you live stream, you're losing some quality there. When you're just doing a recording, that's you're saving all that quality. But my live streams have looked like local recordings, and people who have seen my live streams have watched that, and you can even go check out for yourself all the recent live streams that I've done, not on PC. I've been using this card and they look phenomenal. So this card just, really, really helps with that. It just, I don't get any pixelation, anything like that, no lag. My live streaming experience with this card has just been a 10 out of 10. It's been top notch, no issues, no problems, nothing. Only problem that I've had has been like OBS related or something like that because of their updates, maybe the PC game or something I've been playing. It has not been the card whatsoever. So as far as live streaming goes, the card is absolutely great. All right, so this is the last thing I want to talk about. Video editing software, which I mentioned is very important. And the reason it's very important is because not every video editing software allows you to view, edit, or render 4K HDR videos. Actually, I've only found one software, and I've used a lot of software. I've done a lot of research on this. I've only found one program that allows you to view, edit, and render 4K HDR videos, and that is Adobe Premiere. So as you can see, I have Sony Vegas Pro 15 open, right? So these two are technically the same videos. I have two Vegas windows open. So this is an Uncharted 4 video in 1080p. This is the same video in 4K. So this is the raw recorded file. This over here on the left is the Uncharted video transcoded to 1080p in Handbrake. So I just converted the video to 1080p. So it shows up here, but as you can see on my timeline, the video won't even show up in the preview. It may render. I'm not even completely sure. So it may render, but what really use is there to render if you can't even edit the video, right? And it'll allow you to render in up to 4K, but according to my research, there is no setting to render HDR in Sony Vegas. You can render 4K, but not HDR, okay? So I'm just gonna go ahead and close Sony Vegas, and I've tried different programs. Like I said, the best program I've come up with that is capable of doing all the things you need is Adobe Premiere. So I'm just going to open the program and show you how I can put in a 4K video. It'll show up, it'll look great. And what I'm also going to do is a separate video on how to render in HDR, because generally HDR, I guess you can say it's still somewhat relatively new. It's not the most, an HDR TV is not necessarily in every household yet, or most households. I don't even think 4K TVs are in most households yet. So definitely not 4K HDR. So it only makes sense that there's not the most, I only found one video on YouTube on how to render in HDR. One, right? So yeah, that's why I had to do so much research and figure this stuff out on my own. So I'm just going to right now I'm going to drag that same HDR, 4K HDR Uncharted video that wouldn't show up in Sony Vegas, and I'm going to drag it over here, and you're going to see it just very easily pop up on the timeline. And there it goes. It looks great. When you saw it on the other Sony Vegas, it even looked kind of washed out. So Adobe Premiere is the best program for this. Okay, this is Adobe Premiere 2018. So here's another detail. uh, the the card, the AVerMedia card, comes with CyberLink Power Director 15. But here's the thing, and it tells you this in the asterisk on the data sheet. It tells you that program it's 4K video editing software, but it doesn't say 4K HDR video editing software. Okay, because from what I found, you cannot render in HDR with that program. Maybe there's something that I couldn't figure out that is entirely possible. All I'm saying is the only program I found that you can edit and render 4K HDR videos is Adobe Premiere. I even upgraded to CyberLink Power Director 16, I believe it is, which I had to pay for because I was looking at the details of the program, and it was pretty much saying it could do the stuff that 15 couldn't, and it still could not render in HDR according to my findings. So this is why I'm telling you, this is why I said it's very important, because I don't want people to get this card and you don't have the right program to render HDR in and edit and everything like that. Okay, so that's the main thing you need to know. So my conclusion on the AVerMedia Live Gamer 4K is this card is absolutely amazing. It's great hardware. The software runs smoothly, easily integrated into live streams. It's $100 cheaper than the Elgato, and it's technically capable of doing more. So I think this is the best capture card that money can buy right now. It is the better alternative to the Elgato 4K card, and I've had no issues with it. Elgato customer support is great. Their guide and information that they've released on the card is very thorough. So I think this card is amazing, and I highly recommend it. And I think it's definitely future proof for whatever consoles specifically, like I said, because there are better software for the PC. On the console side of things, I think it's pretty future proofed for what may be offered, especially in the future generation. So if there's anything I missed out on mentioning or explaining in this very long, thorough, comprehensive review, please ask in the comment section. Let me know, and I will do my best to answer it. Like I said, all information and links will be in the description. So that's my review of AVerMedia's card. All right, I'm out of here, guys. Peace. Please hit the like button to support, and I thank you for watching.
Donc le voici monté dans le PC streaming, donc je l'ai monté il y a à peu près 4 mois. Je l'ai acheté parce qu'il prend en charge la résolution 1440p, ce que le Elgato ne fait pas, il faut le savoir. À part si vous achetez le modèle 4K, mais il y a beaucoup de soucis avec. Par contre, le AVerMedia, je n'ai aucun problème, tout est fluide, le logiciel est fluide. J'ai aucune micro-coupure en streaming, c'est vraiment de la bombe atomique. Vous pouvez y aller les yeux fermés, les mecs.
Vas-y,